So we have our Tracer here. Good.
Yeah, so
We are all
I
And
play
responsible.
quite a bit of Sim on this map as well.
Nice. I mean, it's Lijiang. I get it. You're gonna get stuck
Yeah.
on Sim for 1 or 2 of these control points.
Yep.
Okay.
I think my Sim probably does need some work.
Okay. So first issue, no Sim TP here for your team, and you picked Tracer. Like, what gives, man? What gives? You hate your team. Okay, I'll get over it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about that actually, and whether it's more helpful for me to have the extra time to set up, or my team to have the TP.
Generally better for your team to have the TP, but if anyone on
Yeah.
your team is AFK for a second, it sort of all gets flushed down the toilet.
Yep.
Sure. This makes sense. This is good. With our reload? Okay. And I'm torn here. Like, I look at this and I'm like, yes, you're blinking in to make your damage more effective because your damage from before was absolutely pitiful range and like, hey, we have to be closer to be effective. But are we really effective at this range even?
I mean, not particularly. It's just poke damage at this point.
Now you've used
Still.
a blink to go in and you're still going to have to use a blink to go out, right? And so really this is 2 blinks to get this damage, right?
Yeah.
So I probably don't
I
really
mean,
want to... Go ahead.
She has used sleep. She has
Oh
used
yeah,
sleep.
no, absolutely,
And nade.
absolutely.
Oh wait, no, we use nade.
Yeah, we used it. So she used sleep, and I'm totally good that she spent sleep. That's fantastic. Are you ready to go for the throat and eliminate her at this point?
Not yet, no.
I don't think so, and I probably don't want to spend 2 blinks because this is 2 blinks to get not that helpful amounts of poke on her. You follow what I'm saying? So I probably wanted to just go, my damage is going to suck, but I'm going to tickle you from here. Or I probably wanted to just quietly walk, and if she doesn't look at me, no big deal. If she does, whatever, I'll blink over. But just walk until I was about here, and then I'd use my 1 blink and go in and get real damage. You sort of see what I'm saying here? Because now you're really spending 2 blinks to get 5-second rewinds are so long on Tracer. To get, instead of doing damage from here, which is like nothing, damage from here, which is almost nothing. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, and then I expect that you're going to have to blink. And it turns out you don't have to blink, and that's good. But I kind of expected you were going to have to blink, and I think you'd have guessed you were going to have to blink after that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that I might be safer without the sleep and not need to blink.
Okay.
But
if that's the case, I probably was ready to go hard.
She does have a team.
Okay. Fair enough. You're going to circle out here. Sure. I like it. Why are we forcing recall? Are we just scared?
I think that's just a habit.
Yeah,
you blink melee recall.
Got it. You haven't eliminated her yet. She's not gone. It would be great if she was, but she's not gone. And hey, I'm okay with this, but I'm probably just going to, hang out here. Like, she's really not hurting you or anything. If you want to blink away, I suppose that's fine, but you were perfectly fine here. That's a huge investment, your recall.
Have some of that.
Okay. Yep. Good. I can live with that. I probably would have stayed to the outside and actually worked on the other one there for the pressure, but that's good. We got the target we wanted. It's just a positioning compromise. Okay, we get this. Sure. Dude's gonna push it, so you'll go this way. Perfect. Fine. Okay, you're gonna go left for control. Crosshair's okay. You like the walls a little much when you're hugging your crosshair movement here, so you go like this, and that's fine. That's the floor. Okay. That's the wall. There's not someone there yet. Like, what you'd actually do with your crosshair is you'd have it, like, just past the wall, right? And as you turn, you'd keep it sort of just past the wall. You see what I'm referring to here?
Yeah.
Okay. this is something you can easily correct. You just have to realize that you have it. And same thing
Just
here.
need to
You're
think about it.
holding this on the wall, which is like, that's not actually where people appear. Yeah, you can pressure from here.
I think
Why
at
are
this
you...
point I was just trying to get the last couple of percentage for pulse bomb.
Got it. That's why you're playing here. Okay, because you're hoping that the rest of them won't realize you're here as you try to get your pulse bomb percent. Because I was trying to figure out why you're here rather than pressuring from here type thing, where it's just gonna be a little bit better. But that's okay.
This will help.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Sure, we'll take it. So here's my thing here. So you go for this.
Gotcha.
One minor problem. What's the minor problem?
My team's still going in,
No, I'm
and
actually
I'm
good with
getting out.
this. Your
Or
team is clearly fighting just
I'm
fine.
not
No, I
sure.
don't care that you're getting out. You're good here. My problem is you just effectively double blinked in here to get this pulse bomb and recalled out, and now you have to blink right back in to stop Mercy from getting the res, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So you're going to be completely empty while trying to stop Mercy from getting the res, and like, there is a Kree here. He's probably going to be distracted, but there is a Kree here, and you went and did this, and I totally get it. You're just reflexively used to, I blink in, hit my pulse bomb, get out, but like, there's a Mercy on this team. She's right here. She's not the one you stuck. This needed to be and I blink out type situation. Like, this needed to be not a recall, but a blink. You see what I'm talking about here?
Yeah. It does look like that
Okay.
here in hindsight for sure.
Okay, and that's fine. I get it. You train yourself on the recall. The recall's automatic, but you do want to overwrite it correctly in those situations where it's not right, and that's fine. Okay. Unfortunately, your team runs them over and this works, but this mostly works, and Mercy isn't able to go for that res, and your team is able to run them over because they independently got an elimination on the Tracer, right? You understand?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
No one can hide from my sight.
Okay.
Forget that feeling of deja
Doable.
vu. Much better.
Great. We'll stabilize. Okay, you have eyes. Sure, making their job difficult. You win this. Okay.
Meta activated.
Stay outside. Good. And I'm already seeing some of the improvements we talked about in terms of how you're thinking about the, when to be a little more passive, when to be a little more aggressive. So this is good. Okay. Crosshair placement works out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you changed your mind so quickly on that. Good. That's right.
Overtime.
Wait for it. Time.
You left this way. You waited just an instant. You decide to put pressure on the diva here rather than going after their supports, which I can live with. That's reasonable. I'd still like you to get the outside angle, and then you decide off of this that you're going to go in here for the
Wait
pulse
for
bomb.
it.
This is because you know this is where the high noon is that you're going for this pulse bomb?
Yeah. Yeah. And Thailand's very easy to stick generally. Even though
Yeah.
I miss it.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, love hitting down their tunnel of damage. Like you're approaching the high noon from the direction the high noon is looking. We're not worried about the high noon itself, but we're worried about sort of the other stuff that goes with that. It's
Yeah.
workable though. Okay. I mean, there's a part of me that's really almost more interested in going, hey, do I want to go out here and
Oh,
pressure these
balls.
guys from the outside? But okay. Sorry, what's that about, Paul?
Oh, I didn't see that it was going in there.
Ah, got it. Okay, not a big deal.
Time. Nothing's gonna stop me.
Okay. So far this is not you struggling on Lijiang Tower.
Triple kill.
I'm on fire.
Okay. So the Tracer looks good. Obviously, we could talk a little bit more about crosshair placement, but I like what you're thinking about in terms of how you're controlling your engagement level based on what you have. I like how you're thinking about your off angles. I would say that you're not really struggling with how you're thinking about this map at this point in time. Obviously, we'd have needed slightly stronger resisting opponents to, test your metal a little bit better, but this is what we like to see. So good stuff. Let's move
Yep.
on to some sim play, perhaps.
Yeah, I think the rest should be sim.
Okay.
Ready for battle.
Teleporter online. We move swiftly.
Ready for battle.
Teleporter online.
Yep.
We move
That's
swiftly.
basically a perfect TP. Cool. You don't have to pull it up and swap. Got the pre-charged orb.
Online.
Okay, so let's talk about T's turret placement. So this happens.
Sentry
You go for
online.
one of those there, one of those there, and one of those there.
Oh, I missed that one close.
Yeah, okay. So you did want a close one here, or did you want this to go past?
I wanted it to go past, like on top of their doorway.
Oh, on
Is where
top
I
of
was
their
trying to
doorway.
aim.
So you were trying to get. So where did you want your turrets in the end? Because one got destroyed, one got stuck, rather, and then
Yeah,
destroyed.
I mean,
But where did you want these roughly?
I mainly just wanted them on top of the doorway,
Okay.
like trying to help control way room.
Okay. And did you want all three on top of the doorway? Did you want one to the right, one to the left? How did you want this?
I was fine with 3 on top of the doorway, honestly, because then they have to walk through to destroy them.
That's true. They do have to walk through to destroy them, but you can get some things like off-angling people like we've got here in terms of this, who is that? I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at. This soldier over here. You could, in theory, have things like a tracer coming through here. Those aren't what happened, certainly. A tracer coming through there, but if we put all three here, they're also, kind of a one turn and wipe out with, one stare from a monkey type thing, right? So, like, generally when I think about this, 2 to control a doorway is kind of every bit as good as 3 to control a doorway. Is it technically a little less damage? Yes, but it kind of does like 90% of what 3 do with just 2. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I generally would like your third one to be a little bit different. Even if that different is just here, even if that different is right here or right here, even if that different is just stuck on this thing right here, so that, hey, this one sticks on the Reinhardt after he's gotten a little further through and is annoying, I'm good with that. But I'm generally not actually going to want, and this is one of the things we cover, all 3 on the first push right up above here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sure-ish. So you have a decision to make. Are you going to spam hallway or are you going to heighten your power off the Reinhardt? You're going to do neither. Okay. So this happens. And you might recognize that you have a Junkrat and you expect your Junkrat to just spam this direction. And I'm kind of good with that. But, like, there's nothing really here for you, right? Like, I'm looking at this and they're not really giving you much to spam, are they?
No, not particularly. Anything they run into is just me getting lucky.
So I could have went in with my Reinhardt. I could have gone in with my Reinhardt and said, I'm going to start ramping up off their Reinhardt. And honestly, if I look at this, it's worse angles, but it's probably what I wanted to do. Their Reinhardt is already discorded under pressure. We've already taken some good map control here. You've already got some turrets up here. Your turrets plus Junkrat are probably going to be enough to control this hallway. You might get a little better damage and get a little more eliminations yourself, might win a little faster if you go here. But I probably want you going with your Reinhardt right now and playing a little more on point, where you're using the Rein Shield to ramp off their Rein Shield, using this as your cover, that sort of thing, and you have this more serious two-directional push. Because as I look at this now, you're kind of going to do the worst of the three options, in my opinion. You throw an orb there without walking in,
And now I'm stacking on Junkrat.
you're stacking on junk. You've already got Sigma here. Zen's back here. Like, Reinhardt would like some power from his angle direction. So, yeah. When it comes to controlling this map, your general thought is you're going to go out here for the initial fight because the off angle over here just doesn't matter for the initial fight when you arrive at the same time. It's not big enough. But on future fights and after you've rolled out and gotten control of this, Junk is going to control this. You're going to even consider controlling this side of this point with your orbs and with your beam. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And again, these guys have been able to... You're doing okay poke damage over here with your junk shenanigans, but these guys have been able to push out here, and now they're in this situation where you sort of have to push onto them, and they've pushed your Reinhardt back. This would have been way harder to do with even just you backing up Reinhardt, but okay.
The objective is light.
Sure. Yeah, you've just got to know where to go now, and it's become a little rough. Sure. Close line of sight. Yeah. Okay.
There is still much to be done.
So obviously that should have been a teamfight win. We pushed them back and got map control. We just didn't then appropriately capitalize on our map control.
Yep.
Okay. It's a little weird for a push direction, but okay. For a retake. Sure. Sure. This is fine. I don't think you need it. Yeah. This is the right idea. Spam this direction. We don't want to deal with the window. Cool, I'm closing this angle because I'm scared and I'm missing health and there's a Zarya here. And, you know, it might be nice to shoot the Zarya to keep our beam ramp, but I'm probably continuing to close this angle and throwing out a turret to make it harder to rotate on us. Like, if you throw a turret out on this wall right in front of you and you continue to kite out, it becomes harder if the Zarya rounds the corner like she wants to and tries to fight you, right? And is your beam like third level, I gotta save this right now? Where you need to shoot at her right away?
I don't think it's even like second level.
Exactly. And to ramp it up, to beat this Zarya, I kind of need a slow. I need something to give me a little bit of help. Now we'll be okay because we have a nice surround, nice pincer, but hey. Okay. Just win this.
Activating the barrier.
Okay, so there's kind of a mid-fight thought process to be had here. Cool, this is happening. If we go in our Symmetra sort of priority order, if we have a level 3 beam, that's kind of our priority, right? To just melt things. Like, we'd like to melt things more than we'd like to do right clicks, more than we'd like to put more sim turrets up. Of our abilities, if we have a level 3 beam, we'd like to continue using our level 3 beam, right?
Yep.
Okay. What if we don't have a level 3 beam, or what if things are out of beam range? So let's pretend things are out of beam range. Are we generally better off? What's a higher priority for us? Getting turrets out or getting right clicks out?
I mean, definitely turrets, I'd say.
Right. So if we have 3 turrets right now and nothing's in beam range, it's almost certain that turrets are priority and turrets are priority. Like, we look at this Reinhardt, we could throw a turret behind him to try to slow him down, or we could throw a turret at this off angle to try to mess up his reinforcements, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I sort of want you to go into this thought process of, we're in a new battle location, I have turrets charged up and available, something's out of beam range, I want to go to turrets. That should sort of be an automatic here.
Activating the barrier.
This is unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Okay. And I know that we can fight here. Like, I know we can fight here in close hold because, A, you control our TP, so you, by the way, you should have destroyed our TP by now. Do you know why?
So that we can TP back to point if we need.
Right. You should have
Oh,
recognized once we started to win this fight and we didn't have anyone that, got staggered. Well, whatever,
Wait,
Junkrat. We
Junk's
don't
there.
care about you. Okay, whatever. We can let Junk TP. Junk's on his own. We decided that we were going to spawn hold these guys, and we know we can do it because you've got Simwall, right? Like, you feel no pressure to retreat right now, even with your Junk missing, because you've got your Simwall, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was quite confident. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like our turrets to be set up knowing that we're going to fight here really already. And then hopefully now we'll take down our Stim TV because now Junk's taking it. Okay, oh, they just walked through for free because there's 0 turrets set up. It hurts. Okay, and we're just going to symbol this. Right? No? Okay. What are we doing? Huh. That's disappointing. Like, I don't know what the comms are like here. I don't know why your Reinhardt's
Yeah.
just
Oh,
pulling
he
back
was going
so
for a
hard.
flank shatter.
Right, and he got
Was
found
his whole
out,
plan.
but like, if you drop a sim wall in the middle of this through this team, like, surely he's going to continue pressing W. Surely, and you're going to press W, and you guys are going to be great, and there were also some sim turrets here, and I'm just going to cry a little. Okay. I think it's much more likely that he walks into the fight if there's a sim wall in the middle of the fight, but okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, if we pulled down our TP, though our timing would have been challenging, we have to know when Junkrat is through it. We could have taken our TP back for our kite out and all sorts of things. So that one would have been a tight timing. Okay, but we are 75% into this match, 75% into this round in terms of ult percentages, or cap percentages, and we haven't used a sim wall yet. So beginning to get a little worrisome. Okay, we're going for some spam here, and I can live with this spam because we expect these guys are going to retreat. We don't need to set up turrets in a place that we really don't think the fight is real. So I'm good with that. Probably spent a turret here, though. Like, I probably look at this, and as we're pulling back because we lost someone, I'm probably willing to spend, like, a turret here because you've got all 3 turrets off cooldown, right?
Yeah, I'll get it back before I...
You get it back before you need it, and we can give a little bit of, if they try to push up for a spawn hold, you've got a little more resistance, a little more spam pickoff opportunity. Okay. Are we doing any sort of teleport pass? No, because they're not holding close.
Turret
Okay.
in place.
Sure, I wouldn't spend more than that here. Okay. Sure.
यही परम वास्तविकता है.
We'll call that a little unfortunate. I mean, it's the sort of thing where you went for the blind TP wall here based on where your team was, and this sort of comes down to you can off-angle on Sim, don't get me wrong, off-angling in general is powerful, but you kind of like the pocket that is your Reinhardt shield because your hero isn't really designed to, how do I want to put this? Your hero isn't really designed with extreme mobility. You've got your TP, but mostly when you off-angle on Sim, it's either a very small off-angle off of your Reinhardt while still mostly bind to his shield, or it's because you've sort of TP'd past the opponents and are either beaming them or orbing them from behind, right?
Yeah.
You're not
So...
really a hero that has good tools for clearing a flank by yourself, right? Like if you run into a Roadhog, a McCree, a Tracer, do you really have a
right
good...
here.
Right.
I see the Korean. I'm just scared of him.
Exactly. So I don't really want you individually pushing off angles unless it's a case of I know where the enemy core is, I TP behind it, and I either start zapping or orbing it from behind type thing. But that's okay. Okay. We've rage swapped off the sim to our tracer.
The objective must be taken.
Okay, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to get into this. It's a little bit of a problem because you feel like you don't have
The objective
the time to take the real flank. Mercy's guarding this. You're not going to be able to challenge him. He's rolling. Okay, I'll live with that. Better.
No, I'm just
I
in
guess
touch
you
mode.
don't have time to circle all the way, yeah. You have to push soldier now. Nope. Yeah. I get it. Point's a problem. Okay, that's fine. So, again, we look at our sim here, and most of the problems we're going to run into with our sim are we're just not remembering to set up sim turrets. We're not setting up sim turrets as well as we can. Again, we don't necessarily set up sim turrets the same way when we're offensively pushing. We might throw orbs. We might throw orbs instead of sim turrets until we are in the place where we're actually going to fight them, right? So, like, if we're pushing a soft forward hold, orbs might make sense. But other than that, defensively or offensively, turrets are kind of a higher priority for us to get out than orbs. And then we just have a, hey, understand your map control, don't leave your Reinhardt hanging out to dry there, and we'd have liked to see that wall. But let's head over to the other sim map.
One.
The true
Round.
is
Capture the objective.
my teleporter is online.
Sure.
Pranali Sanrikit Karna.
Sure, you instantly throw one, you instantly throw another one, you instantly throw another one. That's a weird place for them. So I look at this, you do this, you throw one over there, sure, I'm good with it. They're coming out of the TP. I don't think you realize that. I think the idea was not to put this here, but was to put this over here. Is that fair? Or did you want this
Yeah,
here?
yeah, it was.
Okay, cool.
No.
So we see that, and then I'm going to slow this down a little bit. And you go for another one. And that one's over there, and that one I'm pretty okay with. It's probably a little bit on the high side in terms of I don't really need it that high up in the air. And then you've got your last one over here for some reason. And I look at this and go, I don't really need this. Like, this is their doorway, right? I guess this is to protect you guys a little bit, but this fight happens. This fight is never cute with lots of time to take off angles and anything like this. This, both teams have TP'd at each other through the window, is a pretty immediate slam. It's going to be resolved quickly fight, right?
Yep.
So I want these
So
turrets a little closer to the ground to make sure that they stay relevant. I don't need them on the ground. I don't need them necessarily quite as low as you put this turret here, though this height is reasonable. You can go a little higher with these, but like I don't want them all at this height. One at this height was fine, potentially, but I don't want them all at this height. Well, this is annoying to Farah, and while it'll get people right here, as they step away at all, now it's too far for it, right?
yeah,
So I want
so
these...
angle them lower too.
Right, bring them a little bit lower to the ground, and you can mostly put them right around where they are because this fight happens so quickly, right? Like, there's not time for them to get cute and go out here with the off angle. I say that as Sim is getting cute and going out here with the off angle. There's like, they're going to try to spread out a little bit, but like, your team, ideally, if you've done this right, is pressing them pretty hard right at the same time, and there's not a ton of ability room space for them to move. So, we'd have aimed these better, but that's okay. You got your lamp. You got a Reinhardt between you and their Reinhardts. Sure.
Alliance defense system.
You did something. Good.
The objective is now.
Okay. Okay. that's a little life. You guys got forced out too hard. That's really part of, the rollout. They got there an instant before you guys, but also they had some slightly better turrets there, and then your team got sort of huddled into one place. Not the end of the world. They're gonna have to shatter. We'll deal. Nope. My bad. I thought you were gone at that point when you got shattered because, you should have been.
Yep.
They did not prioritize you during the shatter. That is wild because it gives you a chance to get back into this. The right answer was probably Zarya, not Pharah, but that's fine. Okay, we'll deal. Okay, so we're coming out with Sim. We've got our TP back because, of course, they destroyed that. We have our turrets. We've probably learned our lesson and will not be approaching this way again.
My teleporter is
Have you
online.
called on comms whether this is real or fake?
Yeah. So this is real.
Okay. Okay.
And my thought process here was like trying to go hard at their team before their Pharaoh was able to
So this
get a
shouldn't
nice
be
angle.
real, but let's take a look. I look at this. Yeah, this isn't actually the TP you want. If you look at these guys, you should be threatening to TP, but I am not actually even sure I'd drop a fake TP right now. And do you understand why I'm saying that now that we have third-person view here?
I mean Zen's split.
Yeah,
So
I don't
a
care.
real
Let's
TP wouldn't
pretend
even
that
work.
let's pretend that your BAP and your Zen are on top of you. Let's pretend that we
Yeah.
don't have a positioning problem with our team, but just based on how the opponents are set up.
I mean they're already
They're already there. They're
for
going to
that TP
take you out as you
perfectly, yeah.
waterfall down, right?
yeah.
The TP that you're going for right now is good in the neutral, and it's good when their Reinhardt is holding out here, maybe even out here. It doesn't make sense when their Reinhardt is right here, right?
Yeah.
You haven't seen a Reinhardt here. You don't see a Reinhardt here. All that's happened is they've spammed you a bit. So I would much rather rotate for real to here and then drop a TP behind them that they don't know if it's a real TP, a fake TP, or a just for you TP. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
So this TP that you're going for is your opening TP, and it's your retake TP when they're trying to hold too close and not respecting the fact that you guys have a Symmetra. But that's okay. You just lose here. Because the fight goes too fast, you're already in it, you're not going to be able to possibly ramp in time. Their sim is already going to have 1 to 2 turrets in play, is going to start to get ramping immediately. Reinhardt will immediately be on top of you. You're not going to win these fights, and you, I think, understand
Yeah.
that.
I will
Yep.
follow my path.
Our enemy rises again.
You did not learn your lesson. You want to walk right on through here again. Okay, okay. Okay, so if you push this team back gently, you might go for your TP here. If your team is right here, this would be a time to go for your TP. This is. We're taking too long. We saw the Reinhardt drop our TP, and we've already missed our window because now we don't know if the Reinhardt is close or not anymore. You see what I'm talking about?
Yep. So we want to TP past them, but not on them.
You got it. Okay, the wall here is fine. The TP here would also be great. Please TP. Please TP. Please drop a TP. Okay, now drop a TP. TP right past their window? You have a sim wall between you and them? What? Like, I don't care if anyone actually goes through your TP or not, but I want the TP in them or behind them because they have to be fearful of it. Like, it's a cooldown that demands a bunch of their attention, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which currently it is not, or which
would be
Okay.
helpful is
Got it.
what I was thinking, yeah.
all good.
Teleporter online.
There we go. Okay, I like it. Okay, are you familiar with your sim text here in terms of how your turrets interact with your TP?
They
Teleporter
TP through it?
online. We move
They do,
swiftly.
and there's some cute
Yeah.
tricks you can do here. So, like, you can, if you want, I'm totally cool with this. You could also throw a couple turrets in the ground and then drop the TP on them, and the turrets would get the memo and go through it. I don't know that you want to do that here, because this is kind of deep.
Not with this TP.
Not with this TP, but you went through here, and then you're like, yes, now let me drop some turrets. And I'm like, well, okay, we could drop some turrets. Those are some pretty deep turrets. Like, these are sort of like deep turrets, like you're defending against your own team attacking. That's not really going on anymore. We probably just wanted wall turret over here type thing, something a little closer, maybe even just a turret right here, something like that more than we wanted that. That's a better turret, yeah. That's over. We've got the high ground. Oh, oh, oh! Okay, cool.
Know your place.
Sure. Okay. Turrets on cooldown. Great. Or, excuse me, teleporters on cooldown. You've got some turrets recharging. We can set
Sentry
up for
deployed.
this. Fine. Good plot. Good place for one. Reasonable place for one. Okay, are we not already... Interesting. Did you not see that teleporter going down?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
When my
'cause
team was
this-
calling for me to place a TP, I might have been distracted by that.
Got it. Got it. Because, yeah, your TP didn't really make sense given their TP. You'd have dropped your TP after or as they were taking their TP, or you'd have dropped the TP sort of after these guys were through. You just sort of put your TP on cooldown. But that's cool. We're probably going to throw another turret up because we don't have all of them up and we do have one available.
Online.
I'd have brought that lower. I'd have just said, hey, let's put that like right here-ish and been fine. But okay, we'll deal.
Duplicating bounty.
There's the TP. You have to turn to deal with it. You're on the Rhine, that's great. Unfortunate. Okay, and this wasn't too bad. I mean, this is the sort of thing where you're here, you did this reasonably, you just don't have the ammo to take her down, unfortunately. You're gonna have to accept that. You go around to try to finish her and you realize this, and that's maybe a good thought, except, hey, I'd like to take out the Sim, I'd like to do that, but like the Reinhardt's alive now, right?
Yep.
So you've got to be back on the Reinhardt. And the Reinhardt also has the, oh no turrets are left. That's okay. We would not want to be 3v1ing. We'd want to, I'd much rather fight the Reinhardt even if he then gets a Mercy Pocket than go do this and get surrounded. But okay, almost had it. We're almost at her in that case. I also see you went to drop a TP there, or a turret there. That's useful for kiting, but you weren't effectively kiting
My
anymore.
work is not complete.
Okay, we're gonna try.
Now we have no time.
Yep. But you have a sim wall. Sadly, a sim wall does not change a number advantage, even if very temporary. Fortunately, your reinforcements are right there. Ah! Back on our, I promise the rest of this
Back
review
to
is
the
a sim
traceless
review.
pick.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yep.
You were right to swap to her once you, were at 0% there on the ult charge. Usually you'd stay her if you have point control, but given this situation, I think this one makes sense. Sure, good damage. Yeah, reasonable. You're gonna have to touch again. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Symmetra, fun hero. We don't get to do a ton of Symmetra reviews, but let's talk about her. So obviously I have things in my mind that are going to be important for your Symmetra play. You got to hear some of those things, and you got to rewatch your own Symmetra play here. So having done that, what to you looks, feels, sounds like it would be important going forward for your Symmetra? What's like one or two big things that you noticed, you caught on to, you saw were multiple time problems that we talked about? What do you see here?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest things I've seen have been turret placement and
Okay.
using turrets as well.
Yep. I would say
And
that's
then,
true. What does that mean? So turret placement is what?
yeah,
Like what do we mean by that? Give me a little bit more.
a turret placement, I mean, on on this point, placing them low enough so that they can actually do damage to
Right. You want them to stretch a little. You want them where
people other than Farah.
spam. Right. You want them where spam damage doesn't just immediately get rid of them, where people have to sort of intentionally get rid of them.
Yeah.
So there's a compromise there. But you do want them, to have their leash be long enough range to get a quarter of the point or so. So okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And also not stacking 3 turrets in one spot.
Right, like one turret slowing someone, you'll notice the difference between 1 and 2, but I'm not saying you're not going to notice anything between like 2 and 3, but like 2 turrets on someone is plenty for like, you're not actually counting on the damage to eliminate them. You're like, hey, here's something annoying, some pressure,
I mean,
and you're
I've seen a
slowed.
single turret eliminate someone
Well,
on its own.
yes, but okay. But usually 2 turrets in one place, 1 in another is generally a pretty good recipe, but that's okay. Okay, so
Yep.
that's placement, and when do you put out turrets? When do you spend turrets?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, when we know where the fight is going to be, or where
Okay.
it's going to be.
Okay.
When we don't have like level 3 beam or something,
Yep.
someone to beam that's really important.
Yeah, if you have beam options, beam is generally your best thing to do. If you don't have beam options and you know where the fight is, usually you'd rather get out turrets if you have turrets available, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And you have to have turrets, I guess. I don't know.
You do have to have turrets. It's true. Okay. That makes sense to me. So that's kind of all in the realm of turrets, though. So what else is there to
Yep.
Symmetra that we saw here?
I mean, back on control center, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I positioning on my Rhine, I think that would have helped a lot.
Oh, that would have probably won you guys that fight massively. Yeah.
Like, yeah, just Symmetra's more of the hero that plays down main, whereas like I should recognize that like the Junkrat would be taking the off angle instead.
Yeah,
Me.
you can recognize that. If we go back to control center here, we're definitely in a situation where not quite. There we go. We're control center. We're going to benefit in general from understanding that we can sort of play this main. We can sort of play this with our Rhine. Maybe our Rhine's going to stand right here, and we're going to float a little more over like here to here with our orb spam, something like that. But like, yeah, we sort of want that. We can't really go challenge an off angle by ourselves unless it's with cutesy TP stuff where we go behind them and we have our quick out, right?
Yep.
But I would like to see that come into play perhaps sooner than it did here, where it's like, hey, we do need to understand how we use our TP, how we do stuff, where it's like, hey, our TP here makes sense if it puts us behind them. Like the TP threat needs to constantly be a threat of going behind them with the TP, not, aha, we're here in the middle of them, right? If it's in the middle of them, it better be a TP loaded up with 2 to 3 turrets, and that's all that's going through it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think those would probably work as main takeaways for you. Do you feel like you have? I think those should work pretty well. Do you feel like you have your head reasonably well wrapped around those basically 2 things there? Totally fine to say no.
I think so.
Okay.
I think the second one not entirely, because like
Sure.
I feel like I shouldn't always like be on my Rhine.
You definitely shouldn't.
So,
you
yeah.
feel like that, or like you feel like that, or like you think that. Like which? Go ahead.
Like in general, I try to lean towards being on an angle if I can.
Right. Angles are great.
And
Angles
like
are
it feels really painful to walk away from
yeah.
from the angle.
It should, but it's sort of like have you played any Moira? Any
No,
meaningful amount of Moira? Okay, you're
no.
making my life hard. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. How do I want to put this? Angles are amazing. Unfortunately, they designed your hero, not your hero, but they designed Symmetra so that, like, hey, I like shooting shields. She's one of the few heroes who's like, oh, a shield? Let me shoot at it. Which is sort of like one of the best things Angles do for us is they compromise cover, including shields, right?
Yep, but we like shooting shields.
Little bit of a problem, isn't
Well,
it? Okay.
yep.
So it's a little bit of a problem, and I don't want to break the angle habit because the angles are going to serve you really well on Tracer, and it's not like you can't off angle a little
Yes.
bit, but ultimately, you're pretty frail as Symmetra. Like, we look at Symmetra, and are you on Sim at this point in the match? You are. We look at Symmetra, and it's like, yay, I have 225 health, and some of it regenerates, but you're pretty flimsy, right? Like, for how much you want to sort of be in the front line, you're pretty flimsy, so you kind of have to play where you can either put your Reinhardt or a tank body. You know, if you don't have a Reinhardt, maybe it's a Roadhog, maybe it's a Diva. You kind of want to shoot through your own tanks at their tanks, and you can get a lot of value doing that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, like,
Especially if I get beam.
right. So intellectually you understand it, it just doesn't feel right, and that's totally okay. I would say what you do there is you go, hey, I'm going to try to lock this down. I'm going to try to go when I'm on sim. I want to shoot through my tanks, you know, at least until I rank up my beam, but that's sort of a thing that I would like to do. And my off angling on Symmetra now comes from understanding that, hey, I can TP past you guys. And you can do some off angling when you're at further distances. This is generally a thing where the further away the enemy team is, the greater your angles want to get as a brawl team. And then if the opposing team gets closer to you and they're like a dive team, you generally tend to collapse your angles a little bit, right?
Yep.
And this is kind of the same thing. Whereas the fight starts to get closer, you get into beam range and you start collapsing your angle a little bit. So I get it. That's not going to feel great. But I think intellectually, do you feel like you understand it and it's something you can wrap your
Yeah, yeah.
brain around? Okay.
Intellectually,
Okay.
for sure.
Totally get that it's going to be hard to implement, hard to do, because it's like, no, this screams against my training. This screams against what has been successful for me, and it should. Symmetra's a little weird like that. And it doesn't mean you can't off angle at all when you're going for right click spam. It does not mean that you can't off angle by going behind people. That's certainly something that your tracer would do. But yeah, for your sort of
Sim
standard
has TP for that.
well, exactly. There you go. There you go. But for your sort of like standard, now we're going to melt you. Yeah, you're kind of fighting them head on because you'd like them to have to burn your tank because you can burn their tank faster in almost every situation. Um, okay. Any questions, concerns, comments? Would it help if I, reworded or reframed anything for you to maybe get a grasp on it? Or any other questions that, maybe you had at the beginning that came back to you over the course of the review here?
I mean, I'm also just thinking about like my hero pool
Sure. Talk to me.
and like my thought processes into choosing certain heroes in certain compositions.
Okay. What would you say your
So
hero
like,
pool is right now?
yeah. And right now, it would. I mean, Tracer obviously.
Yep.
Like it's mostly like Tracer Echo at this point,
Okay.
with some like Sim and what else would I play? And I've been playing a bit of May sometimes as well,
Okay.
but not much.
So we've got a little
But I
bit of
mean, I've
May, and now
I've
we've
been
got some
flexing a
Sim.
lot.
Okay.
I've been flexing a lot for other stuff as well.
Okay. So I look at this, and it sort of becomes well, you have to decide: are you building yourself to win the most ladder games possible, or are you building yourself for organized play? And you're now at a level where no one is going to blink twice about, okay, you play Tracer, you flex over to Symmetra, you flex over to Ashe, and oh, we need you to play May. Can't do it. No one's going to flinch twice. No one should flinch twice because you, in that thought, would be building a hit scan repertoire. Looks like that's not quite what you're doing. If Tracer and Echo are the two that you're mostly playing, and those are fun, those are certainly, Tracer
Yeah.
gives you a very strong flanker, and Echo gives you a poke option, a hybrid option, that sort of thing. I do note the lack of a, how do I want to put this? Like, if your Echo's getting shut down, your Tracer is going to work pretty well against most of the things that give Echo trouble. Your Echo gives you a poke option. It sort of makes sense. I do notice the lack of, like, a Widow or an Ashe in here, something along those lines, which might
Yes.
be helpful. Have you not liked those heroes, or talk to me?
I haven't particularly in the past, but
Okay.
I mean, I've liked the Ashe actually, but
Okay. Not having a Widow
haven't
is
played it in a long time.
not going to be the worst thing in the world right now. Like, yes, obviously,
Yeah.
at some points it would be good to build a Widow. It would be good to have a Widow, but it's actually hard to, like, one-trick Widow, especially when she's not meta. On the maps that she's not good
Yeah.
at, she's just not that good at. But if you had, like, an Ashe or a Hanzo, that would make your pool more comfortable, and that would probably solve most of the situations that these current 3 to 4 heroes don't really solve. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so
If I were to pick up Widow, when would you suggest playing her?
when would I suggest playing her? Well, she's still good on Ruins. Junkertown first is absolutely a thing. Havana third for sure. She's
Yep.
also perfectly fine on first and second. She can be viable on Blizzard World second and to a lesser degree first. Let me just think my map pool. She's going to have places where she makes sense on Volskaya. Defense especially. Those are the things that are immediately coming to mind as places where I would be comfortable pulling her out. There's other places you can make her work when you become, more, if you become like a specialist with her. Like, okay, I'm running Widow on Hanamura second and first. Okay, yeah, attacking with Widow makes sense on those points, that sort of thing. So there's more there that can make sense, but most of those situations I'd honestly go just run Hanzo, just run Ashe, that sort of thing right now. The places where
Yep.
really are her home are the Junkertown, the Ruins, those kinds of places.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well.
Any other questions? Like, I'm happy to go more. We can talk more about hero pools. Do you play on a team? Are you thinking you might play on a team at some point in the future, or are you just enjoying the solo queue?
I am playing on a team,
Okay. Okay.
and yeah, so that's been what's been causing me to flex a lot
Good.
more.
Good. How's that going for you?
I've been struggling in brawl matchups, I feel like,
Sure. Is
but
that
otherwise I
what's
feel
inspired the Sim and the Echo?
yeah. Oh,
Sure.
well, the Echo I had previously.
'Kay.
But the Sim, especially, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Not seeing a McCree, and then got it. Or excuse me, not the Echo. The Sim and the May is what I meant there. Yes, the Echo was a previous
Yeah.
thing. Okay. Yeah, no McCree. Sim obviously can work for you there. Hanzo could work just fine for you there. Yeah, those
I've
would
been
be
doing pretty well
things.
on Hanzo actually.
Okay. Okay. Because
So
like Mei Hanzo is a perfectly valid Brawl composition in most places that you would consider playing Brawl. Obviously, Sim Junkrat is something that you're going to want to be able to play, and you are working on that here, so that makes sense. This is kind of the Sim map, Symmetra Central. McCree probably doesn't feel as good right now, and ultimately, I'm not really sure it makes sense when something like, yes, he has his place, he's not bad. Hanzo's probably a little more versatile right now if you've been enjoying Hanzo.
yeah, I have leaned towards the Hanzo over McCree.
Okay.
I have played a decent amount of McCree, but he doesn't feel the strongest right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad, truth be
Like,
told, but I
yeah,
agree. Like at this point, it's like,
he
my
feels a lot worse
Hanzo.
than he used to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the when we're used to him being meta defining. Ooh, this hero feels bad. Well, he's middle of the
Yeah,
pack,
he's
maybe a
still
little
strong.
above it. Like, yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I think if we look at this from a spot of, hey, probably put a little more work into your Hanzo. If you wanted to start building a Widow, the way to do that would obviously be you can do Widow headshot lobbies, like you can build a very good Widow like that.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to start working her in so that you're not caught flat-footed in a more Widowy meta, the place to do that would be to play her on those maps that she actually makes sense into and sort of build out from there. But I wouldn't worry about that too much. Like I'd worry about playing the meta that you're in most of the time. That's actually a pretty
Yep.
good way to build hero pools. And I'd say, hey, play your Hanzo and Brawl when Hanzo or McCree makes sense, and play your Sim on the places where Sim makes sense, or just go, no guys, we're a Ball Tracer team. What are you talking about? Ball Tracer can absolutely win, and it can. Ball Tracer can win on Night Market here. That's not going to work for you on ladder all the time because people are going to insist on locking
Yeah.
Reinhardt. But hey, there you go.
Mm. Yeah, I have actually been wondering like how viable it would be to just force Tracer in like brawl compositions,
Forcing her in brawl
like right here.
compositions, into brawl compositions, or in brawl in brawl compositions.
Well, just in both,
Okay.
like against and
So Tracer's okay because she gives you some real angle control for your brawl, and she's also pretty
yeah,
good for your brawl if the opponents aren't running a full brawl. Like if the opponents are running a dive comp, having a Tracer or a Sombra to help shoo people around a little bit really makes your brawl. It solves a lot of headaches for your brawl comp to have that extra
yeah,
independence in someone. But when you're playing Tracer into brawl, it's a little tough to take down BAPs that have BAP damage plus regenerative burst plus jump plus lamp plus a Lucio. Like it's really tough to actually take out BAPs. More so, I'd even argue, than Anna's, and definitely more so than Zen's, right?
yeah. I have noticed that like in
And
the brawl v brawl.
right. And then you're either dealing with a Hanzo or a McCree, and each of them have a way effectively to one-shot you, which isn't amazing, but one of them are going to be present. And you can absolutely do work as Tracer. You can go, I'm going to force an ice block. I'm going to force a flashbang. I'm going to force a lamp and get a lot of value for your team, but you're giving something big up to get it. You're either giving up your May wall, which is a huge piece of your initiation, or you're giving up your McCree, and in Brawl vs. Brawl, your McCree on an off angle is probably more dangerous, more likely to get eliminations against a Brawl comp than your Tracer is. Your Tracer can probably force cooldowns, but can't get eliminations. Your McCree is really going to be better, or your Hanzo, at actually forcing eliminations with an off angle. Fair?
Yeah, yeah.
So in the Brawl v Brawl, Tracer isn't amazing. In the Brawl v anything else, Tracer becomes a good swap. So that's kind of the answer.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Then let me go like that.